angels, it's Haley Reese, and today's video is one that I am so excited to talk about, share with you, film, edit, upload, all of the above, because this video is one that I'm so passionate about and I feel like you guys are really going to enjoy it. There are going to be two parts to this video. I'm first going to start out by sharing my story with you guys on how I met my spirit guides, and then I'm going to move on to tell you guys how you too can meet your spirit guides and to build a relationship with them and carry your communication with them throughout this lifetime and to set out and accomplish, achieve, and live out your life purpose. Before we get into today's video, I just want to say, if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Haley. We just hit 70,000 subscribers. I am like completely in shock, completely humbled, and just so incredibly grateful. So if you too do enjoy my videos and you want to see more from me, I would love it if you would go ahead, click that subscribe button, join the Reese's Pieces family, and stay up to date on when I do upload. Now that that's out of the way, I just want to start this video by getting into what exactly a spirit guide is, how they can help us throughout this lifetime, and what their overall purpose is. I was first introduced to the concept of spirit guides at a very young age. For those of you who know, my grandma, who's been on this channel, is extremely spiritually aware and constantly broadening her spiritual horizons. So we had a little library area in the house that I grew up in that was like super haunted. More videos on that coming soon. But we had a section considered the library, and it was like 4 or 5 big giant bookshelves filled with books of all different sorts for all of us to read and enjoy, and put books there that we also read and enjoyed for other people in the family to read and enjoy. You get the point. But in this library there was an entire section on spirituality, spirit guides, guardian angels, the law of attraction, opening yourself up to spiritual awareness, and things like that. So at a very young age, I read right from the get-go. I've always loved reading. I'm a little bit of a bookworm. I feel like knowledge is power, and I just enjoy reading books as a source of knowledge for me. So at a very young age, I started to read these books that were years beyond the age I was. And in these books, they talked a lot about spirit guides and how to communicate with them and to build that bridge of them not just being a subconscious thought and helping you as a subconscious, but actually being in the forefront and helping you with a voice and a name. So spirit guides are there at everyone's accessibility. Everybody has a spirit guide. I don't care where you come from, what your background is, what your beliefs are, if you're a good or you're a bad person, or whatever the case may be, you have a spirit guide, specifically spirit guides, and they are there for your accessibility. There are two types. I shouldn't say two types because there's multiple types of spirit guides, and if you guys are interested, I will go into an entire video on the different spirit guides and different experiences and starseed children and all that jazz. But there are two generic categories of spirit guides. There is a primary spirit guide or spirit guides, and there is a secondary spirit guide and spirit guides. So the primary spirit guide is a spirit guide or guides that is with you before birth, throughout your entire life, and into passing over. These guides know your life purpose, they know your soul inside out, they know the way your brain works, they are one with you, and they are there for your accessibility throughout your entire lifetime. Secondary spirit guides are spirit guides who may come in and out of your life. It doesn't mean that their connection to you is any lower or that you can't call on them at any point, because you can, and we're going to get into that later on. But these spirit guides come in the times where they are most fitting. So let's say you have a spirit guide that really specializes in relationships and you're going through an extremely tough time in a relationship. That spirit guide will step forward at this time in your life and help you to continue on to your life journey, to bring solutions and to guide you and to keep you on your life path and aligned with what you have set out to do, what your soul has set out to do, while helping you in that time of need in that particular issue that you're facing. Perhaps you have a spirit guide that is more maternal and understands what it's like to go through challenges in becoming a parent or in motherhood. They might come forward at that particular time in your life when that is what you are setting out to do. So secondary spirit guides may not always be there, they may or may not be, but primary spirit guides are the spirit guides that are there through every single up, down, bump on the road, whatever it may be. I started to read these books, and within one of the books it said that there are multiple ways to contact your spirit guide. And I have an old journal that I still have that I had started to do this in. And I was super young, my printing is like almost impossible to read, and I would ask questions to my spirit guide under a tree in a relaxed meditative space, and I would let my hand just flow. And it would work for me, and I still have the notes that I would get, but I hadn't actually met my spirit guide yet. So this is where the story begins, on me meeting my spirit guide. I remember this night like it was yesterday. I was at my grandparents' house and it was starting to storm. And I was very, very, very afraid of storms. Storms were my second biggest fear, sharks being the first. Sharks have never ever lost their place, but that was my second biggest fear. Now it's interesting because I find comfort in rain, and it's because of this experience. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I have so much I want to talk about in this video. I feel like I'm jumping and rushing, and I apologize if it's coming off that way. So I'm laying in my bed and this storm is happening and my heart is just pounding. I'm so extremely terrified of storms. And so I'm thinking to myself, I need to go to Grandma and Grandpa's room. I need to go to Grandma and Grandpa's room. And I'm freaking out. I'm breaking into a sweat. I was so scared. I was probably about 8 years old, so around there. And finally I give in and I go into my grandma and grandpa's room and I wake my grandma up and I say, can I sleep with you? I'm so scared of the storm. And my grandma lets me into the bed to sleep with them, and I curl up, but I still can't shake this feeling of fear. I'm still laying there terrified. I'm trying to keep conversation with both my grandma and my grandpa so that they can kind of stay awake with me and the fear can lessen, but they're sleeping and they're telling me it's okay, it's just a thunderstorm, it's okay. And I remember as I was laying there, all of a sudden I'm in this beautiful space, and it was like my eyes were closed and it was as if I was in a dream, but I was completely awake. And I'm in this beautiful space and there's fairies flying around, and I can see it now in my head still. And there's grass and there's flowers and there's trees, and it's my happy space. And all of a sudden these two beautiful women are standing there. And they introduce themselves to me as Salt and Pepper. Which is interesting because it was not their real name. It was just I was so young, that was easiest for me to remember, and they gave themselves like nicknames for me so that it was easier for me to remember. So Salt and Pepper were standing there and they introduced themselves and they told me, we're your spirit guides and we're here for you, and we think it's time that you finally meet us. Keep in mind, I'm 8 years old laying in a bed scared of a storm. Like, this was not any sort of like premeditated thoughts. This was nothing that could have just come into my head. I was terrified. If anything, I would be thinking that a tornado is gonna blow my place over, but all of a sudden, I feel this sense of calmness. And they start to tell me things that my 8-year-old mind would never have come up with. They start to tell me that this is God's way of cleansing nature, and that the plants need the rain, and that the trees that I love and the flowers that I love and the fairies and the gnomes, they need this storm to cleanse and refresh and recharge, and that they promise me that nothing bad is going to happen to me, and that I shouldn't fear storms, and that anytime I'm feeling afraid or scared, that I can come back to this place and I can come to this space and they'll be there, and the fairies will be there, and the angels will be there, and I can talk to them and feel a sense of calmness. So I end up falling asleep perfectly in the midst of this storm. And the next day I wake up and I tell my grandma all about it, and her jaw just drops because she very strongly believes in spirit guides, but I'm not sure that she has ever had an experience where they've actually come, explained what they were. I saw them like a movie and they gave names for themselves and everything, nicknames. She just wanted to hear everything. And I have a little kid journal where I wrote it down because my family has always encouraged me that if I get these types of spiritual messages or things like that, I should write them down so that I can always go back to exactly what was said and how I felt. And I was always writing down these messages, and I felt like I was always talking to them when I was in the garden and with the trees and things like that. And I would always be able to say, Salt, Pepper, and I would talk to them. So flash forward to around 12 years old, and this was the first time that I realized that I can actually ask them questions in life and I can receive answers. Now, something that I'm going to say about spirit guides, that you can't go and get answers to questions that you're not meant to know at this point in your life, and you can't go and get answers to things that aren't of assistance to your spiritual journey and your higher state of consciousness and where you want to end up in life. So I can't just be like, hey, Salt and Pepper, who's gonna win that game tomorrow? I want to go play some bets. Like, let me know, who's gonna win. And then they're gonna be like, oh, Haley, like, this is who's gonna win. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. I can go to them and say, look, I don't know what to do. I'm at a crossroads right now. I have this career opportunity and this career opportunity, and I'm stuck, and they both take me in two totally different directions, and I don't know where to go, and they can give me an answer. The very first time I ever realized that this was accessible to me was, I'll never forget it, I was sitting in my mom's home office, and my mom is having difficulty with something, and honestly, you guys, I can't put my finger on exactly what it was, but she didn't know how the process was going to be or if she was going to get this and something of those sorts. And I said to Mom, you know what, let me ask Salt and Pepper. And my mom's like, okay, Haley, come on, you can't be talking like that. Like, don't go out in public and be like, let me ask Salt and Pepper. People are going to think you're crazy. And my grandma's there, and she's like, come on, just let Haley ask them. So I ask, and I sit, and I go into a quiet space, and I say, like, here's my mom's situation. I'm wondering if you can tell me, like, how the outcome's gonna be or what they're gonna need. And the only answer I got was, they'll need a credit check, but everything goes through. So I go downstairs, I'm all excited that I got this message. That was all I got, but I'm excited that I got it. And I go downstairs, and I run into my mom's office, and I tell her, Mom's like, Haley, you don't need credit checks for things like this. And she's kind of giggling and whatever. The next day I come home and my mom is like white as a ghost. And I come home from school, I'm young, I'm like 12. And my mom says to me, you really did speak to Salt and Pepper, didn't you? And I was like, I told you I did, why? And she tells me that she got a call back from these people she was waiting to hear from. And they said, okay, everything's all good to go, just need a credit check, and then you're 100% approved for this. At this point in my life, I know that they're still always here to guide me, and I know that I always have access to answers to things to help me on my spiritual journey, to help me on this life journey, and to help me get to where I want to go and to achieve my soul's purpose. I find now that my main form of communication with them, my main form of knowing, is through dreams. And I'm a very, very, very vivid dreamer. When I have dreams and they are extremely vivid, I know how they apply to my life. Dreaming, to me, is my psychic power. And I'm very, very good at deciphering what a dream means and if it's relevant or not to my life. I'm very good at that. And that just comes with time and noticing how your dreams apply to things going on in your life, and you can learn kind of, that was a message, or no, that's just a dream. So now that I've told you guys a little bit and I've kind of scraped the surface on my journey with my spirit guides, I want to share with you guys how you can meet your spirit guides and how you can kind of go on this same journey if you have not yet done it. So like I said at the beginning of this video, your spirit guides are there. They're there with you right now, and spirit guides can be a number of things. I find that everyone's spirit guides communicate with them best in different ways. If you guys remember in my Secrets of the Universe video, I had this book, The Law of Attraction. This is not sponsored. This is a book that I've had for years, and I found it super beneficial. And the premise of the book is that Esther Hicks meets her spirit guide, Abraham, and Abraham, through the computer, communicates with Esther and gives messages for other people, because that's Esther's life purpose. She actually met Abraham through meditation. So there's a couple ways that I'm going to share with you as to how you can meet your spirit guides. One of these may work perfectly for you and the other ones might not. So if you try one of these ways the first time and it doesn't work, don't get discouraged. Try one of the other ways. I'm going to share 3 main ways that I have had extreme success with you, and I really, really encourage you that if you're open to this, if one of them doesn't work, you try one of the other ones and you really give it your all, because one way that works for one person might not work for you, and that is completely okay. So right before I tell you guys the 3 ways that you can communicate with your spirit guides, I want to answer a question that I know you probably have in your head, and that is, how do I know if it's my spirit guide or it's me? I read a book once, and I wish I could remember which one it was, but it was so enlightening. And this book basically explained how the ego, your spiritual ego, is what gets in the way of you receiving messages, of you being open to spirit guides, and even gets in the way of you believing in ghosts and paranormal and fairies and gnomes. It's your spiritual ego. What I mean by ego is the ego tells you that it knows that these things don't exist. The ego will tell you that this is an imagination and you're making it up. And the ego is what rules a lot of people in this lifetime and prevents them from reaching spiritual awareness and a higher state of consciousness, because they are constantly telling themselves that what they've experienced wasn't real, or that they imagined it, or this or that. The very first step in meeting your spirit guide is to give in 100% to the belief of them. They're there to protect you and guide you and help you. And if you're afraid, they don't want to scare you, so they may not come forward. You know, they're not going to pop up in your room and be like, hey, it's me, and scare the living daylights out of you, because that's not their intention. Their intention is to guide you and to get you where you need to get in life, not to scare you. So you need to let them know is the very first thing. You need to have a conversation. You can have it within your own mind. They can hear you, or you can have it verbally, but you need to say, I'm open to receiving your messages, and I'm ready, and I want to communicate with you and for you to help guide me with a personal connection throughout this lifetime. and really just whatever comes that you want to say it, and make sure that they know on a spiritual vibrational level that you are open and you are excited to meet them. You're not afraid and you're not closed off. And if you are afraid and closed off, then you're not ready yet. First way that I'm going to mention is through meditation, and I'm going to leave a link down below for one of my favorite guided meditations that I have found on the internet. And this is not a hypnosis. What you guys saw in my past life regression, that was a guided hypnosis. This is just a guided meditation. All that it's meant to do is to relax you and to put you into a state of higher consciousness where your ego is less likely to take over. And they'll walk you through an entire journey, and you're going to get to meet your spirit guide at the end of it. So I'll leave a link to that down below. My advice for that is to do it in a safe space where there's no one else around you, where you don't feel like it's a joke or things like that. Lay down, put your headphones on, and really give into it and see what comes from it. I have had incredible success with this. I really have, and I think that that will be a really great way for you guys to push the ego aside and achieve a higher state of consciousness. The other two ways are more advanced, and your ego tends to get in the way more with them, but they are successful nonetheless. The next way is that you meditate, and what I mean by meditate is you just go into a calming space, focus on your breathing. You can even play a nice calming meditation track. There's a whole bunch of them on YouTube you can listen to for free, and just do whatever can get you into a state of relaxation. Go into nature or find a calming space for you and just focus on your breathing and focus on intention. Intention is really important, and just say to your spirit guide that you're ready to meet them and that you're ready to hear what they have to say, and take your time and be open. Your spirit guide may show you messages and images. You may hear a literal spirit guide voice in your head, or you may just subconsciously in your heart know the message. But as long as you're pushing your ego aside and believing that it is them, you will achieve great success with this. I promise you that. The third way is how Esther actually contacted Abraham in that book, and that is through meditation. And she sat down and she meditated. She focused on her breathing. She centered herself, and she had a piece of paper and a pen, and she wrote. How they ended up communicating in the future is he told her, I want to type, and she went to the computer, and it was much quicker for her, and she just stayed centered in that space, and she let him take over. The crazy thing about this, you guys, is so many people have said that with their experiences with this, is that they actually didn't even know what they were typing when they typed it, and when they went and looked back, it was an entire message that was from their spirit guide. My encouragement with this is that what you hear, you write. What you think, you write, and write everything down or remember it, because these are messages from your spirit guides. You can ask them questions and you can get answers. You can ask them about themselves. A lot of them have names and backgrounds, and it's just incredible, you guys. So there's so much more you can explore with this, but the very, very, very most important thing is that you are open and that you try to not let your spiritual ego get in the way. I feel like this video is super long at this point because I have so much I have to say. I'm passionate about it. I believe in it 1,000,000%, and it has helped me within my lifetime to find my purpose and to really push aside my ego and come forward to what my soul is meant to do on this life journey. I really want you guys to achieve a level of spiritual awareness. I really want you to connect with your spirit guides and to be able to have them truly guide you through life, because regardless, they're there, they're going to guide you. But this way you can really ask questions and they can help you, and you can really get to know them. You are going to meet plenty of spirit guides. You definitely have more than one. And throughout this, you will learn which spirit guides are better for other things. And you can call upon them in times of need and times of struggle and trying times, or times of happiness and achievement and bliss. And you can call on these particular spirit guides and they can help you in your time of need or your time of happiness. I'm going to conclude today's video here because I don't want to ramble too much and overwhelm you guys. But I encourage you to give this a try and let me know your experience. If you guys have had any experiences in the past with spirit guides, leave a comment down below. I love to read your guys' stories. It makes my heart so happy when I get to connect with you. Even if it is just through a computer for now, it truly, truly makes me so happy. So leave a comment down below if you have met your spirit guide or if you give this a try. If there's any topic that I briefly touched on in this video that you would like me to talk about in another video, leave a comment down below letting me know, and I will definitely dive into other subjects with you guys or elaborate further on things. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please go ahead and click that subscribe button if you are not yet subscribed, and give this video a big thumbs up. It makes my heart really happy when you do that, and it encourages me to keep on making these videos, so please do that if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you.